Okay. Comrades, we are asking Comrade, the regional treasurer of Ekurhuleni, Comrade Pinky, to come forward and lead us with Nkosi Sikelel' Africa. Comrade Pinky, please come forward, and then when we are done, Comrade Masindi, the acting RS of VMR, also to be ready to lead us on international. Comrade Pinky, please come forward together with Comrade Masindi. Utadula more kusaris. Here. Or opelam. Okay.
Amandla Nkosi sikeleli Afrika maluphakanyi suphondo lwayo izwa imithandazo yethu Nkosi sikelela thina lusapho lwayo Nkosi sikeleli Afrika maluphakanyisu phondo lwayo izwa imithandazo yethu Nkosi sikelela thina lusapho lwayo woza moya woza moya woza moya oh ngcwele Nkosi sikelela thina lusapho lwayo morena bolo ka setšhaba sa heso o fedise dintwa le matshwenyeho morena bolo ka setšhaba sa heso o fedise dintwa le matshwenyeho o se boloke o se boloke setšhaba sa heso setšhaba sa Afrika o se boloke morena o se boloke setšhaba sa heso setšhaba sa South Africa Amandla
Arise, you prisoners of starvation. Arise, you toilers of the earth. For risen thunder's new creation, 'tis a better world in birth. Never more tradition church shall bind us. Arise, you toilers, no more in throne. The earth shall rise on new foundation. We are but not, we shall be all. Then comrades, comrades, come rally. 'Tis the last fight, let's face the international unites the human race. Then comrades, come rally. 'Tis the last fight we face. The international unites the human race. Forward to socialism, forward.
Mandla, we are still standing, comrades. Just 2 more rituals to go. Are you coming with the solidarity? Comrade, these ones here, they're going to sing solidarity for us. When we are done, we don't sit down, we will observe a moment of silence, but we will direct that item. Congratulations. You want Anton to play music? And you do what? No. When we're singing. Where is Anton? Apparently, Anton must play and lead them. Comrade Anton, can you play that solidarity, please? But I thought you would sing.
When the union sing solidarity. So 3, 4, and come.
Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, and the union makes us strong. When the union's inspiration to the workers' blood shall run, there shall be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. Yet what force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one? But the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. Is there aught we hold in common with the greedy parasite who would lash us and to save them and would crush us with their might? Is there anything left to us but to organize and fight? For the union makes us strong. Solidarity, solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. It is we who plow the prairies, but the cities where they trade, dug the mines and build the workshop, endless miles of railroad laid. Now we stand outcast and starving, miss the workers we have made. But the union makes us strong. Solidarity, solidarity forever. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, and the union makes us strong. All the world that's owned by idle crosses ourselves alone. We have laid the white foundations, built the skyward stone by stone. It is us and those who slave in, but to master and to own, while the union may
solidarity forever. Oh, the union makes us strong.
They have taken untold millions that they never told to end. But without a brain and muscles, not a single wheel can turn. We can break the haughty power, gain our freedom when we learn that the union makes us strong. Solidarity, solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Oh, the union makes us strong. In our hands is placed a power greater than the hundred gold, greater than the might of armies, magnified 1,000-fold. We can bring to birth a new world from the ashes of the old, for the union makes us strong. Solidarity, solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong.
Mandla, thank you, comrades, while standing. Thank you very much to all those comrades who came here. We are doing in-house. We are doing in-house this thing. We are eliminating hiring choirs. Comrades, we're convening almost at the end of the second year, while society, the country, the globe, and ourselves as a union have lost many of our compatriots, our colleagues, our comrades, and our loved ones. As we begin this Congress, we will want to therefore observe a moment of silence in their honor, many of whom we did not have time to pay our last respects to them, including those who are still out there in the front lines battling this pandemic in order to save the nation. We dedicate this Congress to their bravery and their commitment to serve the nation. Let us bow and take a moment of silence. Hamba kahle mkhonto wesizwe hamba kahle mkhonto wesizwe thina bantu bemkhonto sizimisele ukubabulala wonke lamabhunu thina bantu bemkhonto sizimisele ukubabulala wonke lamabhunu hamba bakahle mkhonto wemkhonto wesizwe mandla. Thank you very much, comrades. You may be seated. And we say good morning to all Congress delegates and all our guests in their different categories, both local and international, our former leaders present here, and all those who came to support us, all the affiliates of the Federation, COSATU, and the leadership. Good morning to the 12th National Congress of NEHAWU. We welcome all of you in this Congress However, before we proceed with anything, we will want to, as NEHAWU, National Union, to be welcomed in Gauteng. And in that context, we're going to call a former president of SASCO, a former Deputy General Secretary of NEHAWU, a former Educating Secretary of NEHAWU, the Premier of Gauteng Province, to come and welcome Congress delegates to Gauteng. Comrade David Makor.
Thank you. No problem. Thank you. Oliver Tambo Bambi Sandla Sa Oliver Tambo Oliver Tambo Bambi Sandla Bambi Sandla Sam Oliver Bambi Sandla Sam Oliver Tambo Amandla Long live NEHAWU, long live COSATU, long live Amandla Watinta basebenzi Watenti COSATU. Thank you very much. Firstly, I would like to convey my greetings to the President of COSATU, Comrade Zingi Swalosi. I also saw the General Secretary of COSATU, Comrade Bekin Chalinchali. And I would like to greet the leadership of NEHAWU under President Mzwandile Makwaiba, all the former leaders of NEHAWU who are here, my leaders. I also want to convey greetings to the leadership of the South African Communist Party. I saw the first Deputy General Secretary here earlier. I haven't seen the General Secretary as yet. And our comrades, our international guests who are here, I wouldn't mention them one by one. Many of them are based in our province as diplomats. I want to acknowledge them, our international friends, for many, many years. But most importantly, a Congress belongs to delegates. And I would like to say greetings to you, comrades, the delegates to the 12th National Congress of this mighty union, NEHAWU. Comrades, I was joking earlier on before you could start, that for many of us out there, and I want to say for many of us, including us here in Gauteng, out there is still hot. We are waiting with bated breath the results, the final results of the elections, but the best place to be is here. President, I want to say out there is hot, but it's very cool here. And cool, not just in the literal sense, but the place to be. And it's a great honor for us to be here, not just to welcome you, but to look at you, comrades, representing a generation, several generations of worker leaders and union leaders from the shop floor and organizers, many of whom are no longer with us, who built this mighty union. The National Education, Health and Allied Workers Union, NEHAWU. We are very proud of the work you have continued to do to raise the banner of NEHAWU high. And the banner of NEHAWU is still very, very high. I believe so, President, even in COSATU, in the Federation, NEHAWU stands very strong. So, comrades, we are very proud of what you have done to make sure that this union continues to be a strong union. That's the voice of workers that builds on the strength of the hard work of many who are no longer with us. I come here with great humility, having been sent by you, sent by this union 21 years ago. I was sent by this union to go to the ANC in Gauteng province. And there were lots of discussions, President and General Secretary, there were a lot of discussions, and there were lots of objections from members of the National Executive Committee of NEHAWU. Some of the former leaders are here, and I'm sure there will be lots of shop stewards and leaders there who know that there were lots of objections that I must be released to the ANC. So to get around those objections, the leaders said, no, we do it for a short period of time. I think they first said 3 months. President was in that NEC, and he, coming from the Western Cape, they said, okay, for 3 months is okay. Let's give the ANC, let's allow the ANC 3 months. And then after 3 months, I came back for a while, and then the ANC said 6 months. The National Executive Committee met again, lots of strenuous objections about that. And after 6 months, that was in 2000 from May, after 6 months, the ANC came back again. And then the ANC came back again in November 2001, precisely 20 years ago, and said no longer for 6 months, no longer for a short period of time, please release him. I am still very aggrieved, President, for the union to have agreed to release me to go to come to Gauteng. I am very aggrieved, but you know, I can't take you to the CCMA. I don't know where I can take you. But I am very proud. I want the leadership of the union to know. And those who are in Gauteng would know every time we interact with the union. I am very proud of the fact that this union made me who I am, and not the issues of positions. I'm not talking about positions. I'm just talking about the person I am. This union made a great contribution to shape my consciousness and my attitude to life and my attitude to politics and my attitude to society and my attitude to injustice anywhere in the world, and my attitude to international developments and my attitude to class consciousness. This union made a great contribution to shape me for who I am. So when I'm done with my work in the ANC, President, and this official work, this other official work is coming to an end. If the union says to me, you can come and drive around look after any of the small things that must be done, small things. I will be very willing when I retire from my official political work for the union to say you are done there, but come and sort out one small problem. I don't mean anything that has to do with being a shop steward is a tough job. I don't mean anything that being with elected is a tough job. We know, I see these leaders here. Elections is a very tough job, but I'm very grateful. And I also want to say that the 20 years that I have spent in this province, first as 14 years as the provincial secretary of the ANC, and then the last few years first as the deputy secretary, and then now as the chair. I'm always very grateful that actually it is the union NEHAWU and the Federation COSATU that prepared me for the most difficult things in life. The most difficult job when you have been in the union is to go and lead the ANC. Because the ANC is a difficult phenomenon, comrades. And many of you know it's a very, very difficult phenomenon. But it must be built, it must be renewed, it must be reinforced, because any other thing can pose a very grave danger to the ideals and objectives of our revolution. I want to also acknowledge the contribution of the leadership of the alliance in our province. Comrade Joe is here, who's the chair of the party, but Comrade Joe, as you also know, is the chair of the party, but he is also a former leader of our union. This is our union, comrades. You must know that. Whenever I meet with a NEHAWU shop steward, to anyone wearing a T-shirt, whether in ANC community meetings, I say this is our union. It will be very difficult for anyone to take it out of us. And we are very proud to associate with that. We work very closely with COSATU as well in Gauteng. COSATU, the SACP, SANCO, as you know, has gone through difficulties. So one of the things I just want, as I welcome you, I want to report to you that in our province, the Alliance has really tried very, very hard under difficult conditions to always confront difficult issues politically, to keep our Alliance together in a very united way. We have tried, and that the lessons we learned in the union, the lessons we were taught by the party, at the party schools, and the lessons we were taught in the unions, at the unions' political schools, always come handy when we deal with and resolve issues related to the alliance. So I want to say, therefore, that this is your province. You are welcome in this province. I want to say two more things. We have gone through very difficult times as a country, as a people, as a province with COVID-19. In this province, we know we have lost a lot of people, we have lost a lot of healthcare workers, but I want to take this opportunity to say that if the unions did not come to party, the public sector unions in particular, the healthcare workers in particular, healthcare workers in our province, we would have had great difficulty in trying to manage this pandemic. So I take this opportunity officially at the NEHAWU Congress to thank NEHAWU. I've been in many difficult meetings with NEHAWU during COVID. One of them was when we had a problem at the hospital, Charlotte Maxeke. Others is in other circumstances. But I must say that the leadership of NEHAWU I encountered, I know the union has elected a new leadership in my province. Here, I'm still going to meet with that leadership of NEHAWU that has been elected. But I want the Congress to really give NEHAWU Gauteng a big round of applause. On your behalf, they've been doing a great job. We've gone through difficulties. We had to deal with the corruption related to PPE. In the midst of the COVID pandemic, we had to deal with corruption. The union was very, very firm, dealing with those issues, stood very, very firm. In many areas, we had to deal with very difficult issues facing workers, including on the ground where there were PPE shortages. The union came, led marches to my office as the union. In many instances, the federation itself also organized a lot of activities. But what I know is that NEHAWU has always come with the solution on the table when we engage. So we thank you. You have worked with the provincial government extremely well. and you have been very outspoken in raising the issues affecting workers. Without any doubt whatsoever, you have been the best representative of the public health care workers in particular, but the public sector workers that are in Gauteng province. So we are grateful for that work you have done. I also must say that we have vaccinated in Gauteng. We have full vaccinations. 3 million people in Gauteng have been vaccinated fully. Again, without the healthcare workers, this would have not been achieved. 3 million full vaccinations is the largest number of vaccinations in the country. And we have 4 million, yesterday we reached 4 million single doses. So the 3 million is people who have either taken 1 dose of J&J or 2 doses of Pfizer. And 4 million are those who have taken a single dose. And we have administered 6 million vaccinations. In other words, vaccines in Gauteng province. So if you want to understand the significance of this, is 26% of all vaccines administered in the Republic were administered by the healthcare workers here in Gauteng. 25% of people who have received single doses have received those single doses here in Gauteng. And 24% of all those who have received full vaccinations, in other words, they are fully vaccinated, are those who have received the full vaccinations in Gauteng. Again, without healthcare workers, it would have been impossible to achieve this. Again, I would like for my sake that as Congress, a union that organizes amongst other major sectors, healthcare workers, let's give the healthcare workers in Gauteng a big round of applause. I know, President, it's not just in Gauteng that the healthcare workers have done this work, but please just allow Gauteng to shine today. Please just allow Gauteng to shine today. I want to conclude by saying that we face a great challenge. I'm speaking to you in my official capacity, but I can't resist the temptation to talk about the politics. We face a great challenge. Our country has just gone through a local government election. It was a tough, very, very tough local government election. There are many amongst you who have worked day and night on the ground. We had members of the South African Communist Party, the leaders and activists of the party, the leaders and activists of COSATU in this province, including the chairperson of COSATU, President. The chairperson of COSATU in this province is a former shop steward of NEHAWU, is a former leader of NEHAWU. These comrades have been working very, very hard on the ground, all of them without exception. As the alliance, of course, we are disappointed about the voter turnout, and you can see that so far, this poses a grave danger to, especially in our province, to the municipalities that have been governed by the ANC, including the metros. I think the one important thing we must say is that the ANC needs to receive the message of a low voter turnout in a particular way. And this is how we must receive it. The people don't have confidence in any other party, but they are not yet convinced that their movement, the ANC, has done enough. And this is an important message about renewal. They are not yet convinced that the ANC has done enough to address the fundamental issues that the call for renewal is about. The call for renewal is about the overhaul of the ANC. The call for renewal is also about the overhaul of our socio-economic structure. It's not just the renewal of the movement, it is also the overhaul of our socio-economic structure. The call for renewal is also about ensuring that those, the ANC, ourselves, those of us the ANC has sent in government, can really live up to the expectations of millions of our people many of whom have been ravaged by the pandemic, jobs lost, millions of jobs lost, but there's also been significant reversal of many gains that have been made through the period of the pandemic. The pandemic has reversed this. So how should we, the fundamental issue is that the majority of the people really did not participate in this election. The majority of the people who would have voted for somebody else are not convinced that there is somebody else that they should vote for. So the ANC has to understand this message, that even the message of renewal is not yet convincing enough. It's not time to go back. It's not time to retreat on renewal. In fact, we really have to take renewal, deepen it, and take the cudgels and not be tempted to retreat. All the interventions we've been making so far in fixing the problems, that includes dealing with the issues of corruption. The message that's coming out of this election is that that's not enough. In other words, we are not winning people back to the base of the ANC. That's not enough. But also the deep socio-economic problems that people face. People are not convinced that we are doing enough in all the things we are putting in place. We are doing enough to turn around their fortunes and their future. And I want to emphasize that it is not time to go back. We really have to do much more. And in a sense, I would say that the ANC must say that we are very lucky. If 2/3 of the people who didn't turn up have picked up another party, we would be talking something else. But what did they decide to do? They decide to stay at home. And it's basically to send a big message to us as the ANC, to send a message that we have to do much more to win back the hearts and minds and confidence of our people. And that's really what we're going to face as we live here, to do much more, to work much more with our alliance to win the confidence of the people, many of whom have stayed at home. As I say, many of those people decided that they are not going to pick up. Opposition parties made lots of noise. There are also parties that came into play offering lots of unrealistic paths to bettering the lives of people. Our people are not convinced about that. So the ANC has a chance to do much more to deal with the deep structural issues of inequality, to tackle the fundamental problems of an economy that's not working for the majority, to deal with the fundamental issues of a healthcare system itself. And I must say, here in Gauteng, I must say that as the premier of our province, we face one of the fundamental deep problems of our healthcare system. And that includes just basic dysfunctionality of our healthcare system here in Gauteng. But this affects also many areas, and there should be no excuse. I can't come to a Congress and make excuses, having been given the responsibility and the opportunity to lead the process of transformation. So thank you very much. We wish NEHAWU the very best. We look forward to the resolutions that will come out of this Congress about what NEHAWU is going to be saying about how do we shape socio-economic policy in our country, but also how do we shape the politics of South Africa going forward. One thing I want to say to you is that we are in a new situation. We have always worked with the alliance, but a new situation is presenting a moment where, as an alliance, we must look at this thing of how do you set up government where you are not a majority. And I want to emphasize the alliance cannot be left behind in that discussion, because we have only one alliance we know. The others would never be allies. There would be people you bring on board. What is called a coalition is not an alliance. In this province, yesterday we met. We had an alliance meeting yesterday. The alliance office bearers met. We also had a PEC meeting. Our approach to setting up government, where we have to set up a coalition, our approach is that there must be fundamental principles and there must be a program and a vision we are pursuing. We don't want to be in government for the sake of being in government, and therefore you want to be in government with everybody and anybody who can give you power. Our approach is that we must, and the alliance must look at that. And we agreed in our discussion yesterday of the Alliance Political Council that we will, once all the results are released, which will be by tomorrow, we are having a session. We will have the alliance will be part of the ANC PEC extended meeting, but we'll also have the political council. So in short, what I want to say is that even as we go through the difficulties we face, it must still, being in government must still be about the fundamental program of the National Democratic Revolution. We can't just want to be in government with anybody for the sake of being in government. And those principles are important. We can't just be in government, and I want to say, so the ANC still can't be in government with the people fundamentally opposed to the National Democratic Revolution, simply because we want to be in power. Because power is not for its own sake. It must be to pursue the fundamental program around which we are agreed. So we look forward to the input of the alliance in Gauteng and at a national level. And in this province, I can see that we will have several municipalities. We will not win a majority. Let me say an overwhelming majority, but when all is said and done, we are hopeful that the ANC will be a majority in all the municipalities except one, when all is said and done. But to set up government, we will be forced to look at who else can we work with. This is a setback for our revolutionary advance, but it is not the end of the process. Revolutions are protracted. They are long and protracted processes. They need endurance. They need resilience. Even as we suffer one setback and fall now, we must continue to stand up and fight on. Revolutions need people who have that fighting spirit. We suffer one setback today, but we must continue to fight. And we must never retreat and turn our movement into something else that just wants to be in power for the sake of being in power, and just to be in power with anybody who doesn't stand for anything or who is fundamentally opposed to our cause. So thank you very much. We welcome you in Gauteng and look forward to a great and successful Congress of NEHAWU. Viva NEHAWU, viva! Viva NEHAWU, viva! Siyabonga, siyabulela. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Pirma. Let us take this moment and thank you and appreciate you for being with us. We don't take for granted the time that you have spent or you have spared aside to be with us here. Given what you have just explained, watching the results and the works that you are doing as an alliance in the province to try and set up a new government. We appreciate that you took us serious to be here, and we'll even understand if you're not going to be with us here for the longest time, particularly today, because of that task. And thank you for the report you're giving about how our members are doing here in the province, as we said, in trying to save the nation at the level of the health care. And so, as you know, as Mr. Shopstad, we will always say however, because that's who we are. We just want to say, though, we wish the appreciation of healthcare workers will go beyond just that, of the words and the clapping of hands. It will even be more substantive, particularly to their own life that they always put at risk every day. I always say, and I've said this thing in Gauteng before, that when you say we've vaccinated 4 million, by healthcare workers, which is not the only task or healthcare task they are doing. There are other healthcare services that are providing. I always say, but how many are they? If you count the population they are servicing and the staffing that you have, it's something that we have to look into. So we're just saying so as we appreciate the report. It's a very good report. It means we are indeed proud of our members. Comrades, we are now going to say that we must continue to try our best to stick to the distances we are as put with us here in terms of the social distancing, and try our level best not to exchange seats. One of the regulations of COVID is that you don't swap seats, so that you are able to, if the needs to trace arises, we are able to locate who was sitting where. So let's stick to our seats, and whenever and how much is possible, let's keep our mask. Of course, we know there are times that you need to breathe. You can do so. Now we want to ask the Congress to pick a revolutionary song as we call upon the General Secretary to present the attendance or the credentials to the Congress. One song.
Amandla, 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 ngawethu, ngawethu, Matla, Matla, Arona, Arona, all power to the people. Enkosi Gauteng, Enkosi Gauteng. Okay. Oh, and bahlangana ne-Eastern Cape. And i-Gauteng ne-Eastern Cape baningi. Okay. Amandla. Thank you very much, comrades. Thank you very much, comrades. Time is not on our side. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, comrades. We must take this opportunity to greet the leadership of the Alliance present here. Leadership. Because we need that kind of meeting now and ever before. The political landscape. To NEC members of NEHAWU, CEC members, and Congress delegates. My task is to present who is here and whether or not comrades who are present here are supposed to be here. Unfortunately, we have not invited the government officials except the Premier of Gauteng. Otherwise, we would have recognized our former president, Comrade Nolthando, from another task or responsibility that she has through government. And one comrade called the DM here. There's a deputy minister here. He's wearing yellow. Comrade Majola. Yeah. Though it's difficult, but he's a deputy minister of trade and industry and competition, actually. Comrades Lobo with the competition, yeah, we'll see. And some bureaucrats, yeah, some CEOs and so forth. All of you, comrades, receive our revolutionary greetings. President, we are reflecting the presence or delegation to this Congress based on the statistics of 2020 December membership, which at the time were 279,465, which meant that delegates in total should be 594 at this Congress. So the presentation, therefore, at the end, it must tally with that number. I'm raising it at the beginning so that you can see that there's no manga. We follow the Constitution to the letter. The Constitution firstly clarifies the composition of the Congress. The first one, it says the National Executive Committee members. So present here today, or at this Congress, we're supposed to have 34 NEC members, but present are 33. 30 males, Comrade Nolthando, 30 males. No, there's a report we'll discuss. Don't worry. These are the matters of a society in transition. 3 females. And out of the 33, we have 22 worker leaders and 11 officials. In provinces, we have the following. Eastern Cape expected 81 delegates, present 81 delegates, 40 males, 41 females. Sanba no more, comments. 79 worker leaders and 2 officials. Free State, expected 31, present 31, 15 males, 16 females. All of them are worker leaders. Gauteng, expected 160, present 160, 80 males, 80 females. 159 are worker leaders. 1 is an official, though it did not disclose, but we know from here there is an official in that 160. KZN, expected 81, present 81, 40 males, 41 females. 78 worker leaders, 3 officials. Limpopo, 51 expected, 51 present, 25 males, 26 females. 51 are worker leaders. Mpumalanga, 48 expected, present 48, 24 males, 24 females. All are worker leaders. Ishayeleni Mpumalanga sanibajela. Northwest, 38 expected, 38 present, 21 males, 17 females. All of them are worker leaders. Why didn't I clap it? Yeah, just consistency, you know. But okay, Northwest, you are noting why Congress is not clapping. Northern Cape, 17 expected, 17 present, 11 males, 6 females. All of them are workers. And I'm sure on the composition of Northern Cape will be clarified as part of the report. You know, when you have a delegation of such a size, you prefer your PEC members as a first preference to come here. So that's why that composition is that situation. But we will, part of the thing that we will be reflecting on is a reversal, comrades, that we are making from the progress, advanced progress that we have registered over years in terms of gender struggles and also the advancement of women development in this, you know, of Uram Jogolo and Begum Keys. Western Cape, 53 expected, 53 present, 30 males, 23 females. All of them are workers, leaders. Aisha Western, consistency. Yes, please. So you're covered, Mal. So in total, comrade, as we said, we expected 594, present is 593, 316 males, 277 females. And I'm sure this 39 gap between is created because of that composition of the NEC of 30 males with 3 females. But that's a subject matter for the Congress to discuss. So, and worker leaders is 576, 17 officials, and that's, we're presenting these credentials, President, for adoption by the Congress. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Nopala. I want the assistant of those who are controlling the camera so that I'm able to see at the back when comrades raise their boards. So if you can manage the screens. But comrades, there's the presentation of credentials. We want to see provinces speaking. I can see KwaZulu-Natal. I can see Limpopo, Northwest. Can this project the boards beyond? Is that Western Cape? No, I see Gauteng, yes. I mean this one here. Is Gauteng this one? Eastern Cape, okay. I see Western, Northern Cape. Yeah. Free State, Mpumalanga. Am I living in another province? Eastern Cape. Yes, I've noted. Thank you. The start KZN. Oh, there are no roving mics completed. There's a mic there at your back, comrades.
No, thanks, Comrade, First Deputy President, and greetings to the leadership of the Union and the Congress. No, as KwaZulu-Natal, Comrade President, we want to move, noting that other things we may engage during the Congress, but we want to move the credentials as presented. Thank you.
Thank you very much, KZN. The next province was Limpopo. And before Limpopo speak, I want to ask that when it's done, the comrades at the back can also raise their boards again so that I see them here, so that I can note the sequence. Because
Thanks, Comrade President. As Limpopo, we rise to second the credentials of the 12th National Congress as presented. And in this regard, we second KZN. And we say, Aluta, continue.
continue. Thank you very much. Northwest was the next province. And can we also try to add the mics on the roads, comrades? Maybe even here we must have mics so that we don't take a lot of time in the process, even if it happens after lunch. Proceed, Northwest.
No, thanks, President. We want to raise a concern, President, on the credential, President. We've got comrades, President, who are here and they have been refused access to the Congress, and they are legitimate delegates to this Congress. Comrade President, there are delegates outside that have got tags that have been accredited, but they have been refused entry to this Congress. Before we can move the credentials, the delegation of Gauteng President must sort itself and deal with those comrades who are outside. We were given an opportunity to submit the delegation in time, and with all the provinces did so. Comrades were given time offs. Comrades were told that they are delegates to this conference. To their surprise, now at the venue of the conference, they are told that there are no more delegates to this Congress. So we are requesting, Comrades, President, that the Gauteng must go outside and sort itself and give people who are supposed to be inside the Congress delegations tags, so that the Congress must proceed. Thank you, President.
Thank you. Oh, no. No, not Aile. Lena Siakot, Okay, comrades, if I'm not mistaken, the next province was Eastern Cape, followed by Gauteng.
Western Cape first.
Western Cape.
Yes, President.
All right.
Thank you, Comrade President. Comrade President, let's first appreciate the credentials presented by the General Secretary and the part that we want to enter into as an entry point is a position that he had clarified that we don't want to leave things that will lead to questions about legitimacy of delegates participating here. And precisely because as Western Cape, our constitution directs us 58(1)(c) that indeed the National Congress may verify the delegates. You can't ignore the fact that outside there, as Northwest is saying, there are legitimate delegates with tags not allowed to be here. It's a well-known secret. NOPs can't be acting as if they don't know that. It's even in a public space that indeed, as we sit here, possibility exists that people are using tags of people that are not theirs, in Gauteng in particular. So, as is the president here, why in a 12th National Congress must be serious about this organization. We can't begin to create tendencies that we can't control forever. And therefore, as Western Cape, we support Northwest on a question that there must be verification of delegates of Gauteng. A tag vis-a-vis the ID. We're not going to tell Gauteng to go and sort itself out. We can't. So, Comrade President, in light of that, this is not a matter that will be resolved by show of hands. It's a principal issue. And if you are serious about uniting this trade union, you will agree that there must be a verification process led by the secretariat there. Tag ID. Gauteng, I was uhlala up with that kind of thing. Amandla.
Wait, Limpopo. Wait, Limpopo. Limpopo spoken credentials. There's a list here. Thanks. I think Gauteng was following.
Comrade President,
Kuba Gauteng.
masibulele opportunity to address this Congress. As Gauteng, we are standing to move the credentials as presented by the General Secretary. We further want to demystify some of the things that were said at the front there. There is no delegate from Gauteng that is legitimate, that is in here. That is illegitimate, that is in here. I'm not sure who those provinces were talking to, but I know that they've been talking to the wrong people. I am sure they could have asked the people of Gauteng, who is supposed to be here. They would know better. As far as we're concerned, there is no delegate of Gauteng that is sitting out there that is supposed to be here. There are no challenges in Gauteng. There's no crisis in Gauteng, Comrade President.
Sabule.
There's no crisis in Gauteng, Comrade President. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Eastern Cape. Eastern Cape.
Thank you, President. As the Eastern Cape, we want to align ourselves with those comrades that have moved for the adoption of the agenda of the credentials as presented by the GS of the Union. Thank you, leadership.
Thank you, Eastern Cape. Northern Cape. Can someone assist the mic there, comrades?
Thanks very much, Comrade President.
Okay, proceed, Northern Cape.
Thank you very much, Comrade President.
Other comrades, please listen to other provinces as they've done so to you.
As Northern Cape, we want to rise and say we have noting the matters that is called transitional, but we know that in terms of our presentation, we are 99.9% we are here. And we must be applauded, Comrade President, that we are disciplined and revolutionary. And as such, comrades, we agreed with the province that moved KZN and supported by Limpopo, Eastern Cape and Gauteng. Thank you very much, Comrade President.
Thank you very much. The last one is Mpumalanga. Oh, yeah, I see you. You come first. You come. Mpumalanga. Sorry, Free State. Mr. Comrades, we are still engaged on Kridasal. We will sing. Mpumalanga, proceed.
Thank you very much, President. And we also want to take this particular moment and acknowledge the presentation of credentials. But, President, we think that the General Secretary, when presenting the credentials, was correct to say we must implement the Constitution.
What province is that? Mpumalanga is on the floor. It can't call order, comrades. Okay. Mpumalanga, can you sit down? Can you sit down, Mpumalanga, and allow...
Comrade President, I think this National Congress must be respected. Must be respected, this is irrespective of the numbers that you may have brought in this Congress. It doesn't matter the numbers, but there are proceedings and there are procedures that must be followed in this Congress. You can't, President, allow other comrades when Mpumalanga is speaking, they are speaking and you keep quiet as NOBs. What is the reason why the NOBs, particularly yourself, President, not calling order to those ones that are wanting to collapse this Congress? Once Mpumalanga is speaking, everyone is standing up and there's no one who's standing up. What must we do? Are we part of this Congress, or there are those few that must be allowed to speak in this Congress, President? So, Congress, President, we call order to those ones who have got other motive of wanting to bully everyone and want to push a narrative agenda and say that this Congress must not continue. Amanda.
Mpumalanga. Marumofas. There's no need, comrades, to be that emotional. Yes, there were noise, and we were going to make a point that comrades must be quiet as we continuously do. Can we quiet comrades? There's no need to, at this stage, to raise up our voices like that. Marumofas, comrades. Mpumalanga, proceed with the matter of credentials, and please, can we give hearing to each province that speaks, comrades? Even if we differ with them, we still have a platform to come and engage on what comrades are raising. Proceed, Mpumalanga.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, President. So, President, what we were saying was that the General Secretary was correct to say we must implement the Constitution to the latter in this issue of credentials. But, Chair,
the challenge that we are experiencing with President, is precisely because indeed there are delegates outside there that we have encountered with while we are coming to this particular Congress. The problem is that, Comrade Chair, there are delegates that are having a parallel list. And what we want to say, President, is that in terms of implementing the Constitution to the latter, let this Congress allow all the delegates that have been sent to the General Secretary 30 days before this Congress. Because that is what the Constitution is saying in terms of Section 59, subsection 4, paragraph A, President. But the second part, President, is that these delegates, now, as it has been presented to this Congress, and the reason why this Congress are talking to the delegates is precisely because these delegates are now the delegates of the National Congress. So it cannot be now the matter of Gauteng, but it's a matter that this National Congress must resolve. We're saying that, Comrade Chair, President, because we're empowered by the Constitution in terms of Section 58, subsection 1, paragraph C, that this National Congress may review delegates. Therefore, Comrade President, as such, we want to say the list of delegates, particularly from Gauteng, because we made to be aware that there is a massive number of chopping and change. And in our understanding is that when you change delegate, there must be a very fundamental and serious reason why you are changing that delegate. Particularly delegates who have managed to be here. Delegates who are here, they are telling us that they don't have family responsibility, they are not ill, they don't have any other commitment, but they are here to attend the Congress. Let them be allowed to attend the Congress as they have been sent to the General Secretary 30 days before this particular Congress. Thank you very much, President.
Free State, the last on the list. I see you, Limpopo, will come to you and KZN, but isn't that you have spoken on this matter? That's why I'm going through the list that have not concluded speaking. Free State.
No, thank you very much, Comrade President. As Free State, we rise, Comrade President, to seek a report because it can't be, President, that there are people or delegates outside. But as Congress, we don't receive the report why these people are here, President. So we want maybe the Secretariat or Gauteng to give this Congress a report in terms of why these comrades are here and claiming to be the delegates of this Congress. Thank you, Comrade President.
Thank you. I'm sure I've exhausted my list. I've seen Limpopo and KZN raising their boards again. Before I give to the General Secretary on these matters, I want to afford the two provinces to speak.
Comrade President, in light of the developments along the credentials that we receive now, we learned that as Limpopo, we have seconded KZN. And we have learned that all the provinces that spoke after us were actually moving, but not seconding. In that regard, because of the areas of concern that we hear that there are delegates out there who are supposed to be delegates in here, we therefore, Comrade President, want to revoke our secondment.
KZN. KZN.
Thank you very much, President. As KZN, we rise once again to move for the adoption of the credentials, but with an understanding that the Secretariat is going to come and clarify the matters that have been raised. But it's also important to remind the Congress itself that in terms of the Constitution of the National Union that was adopted, Section 59, subsection 2, it gives the Provincial Executive Committee, each Provincial Executive Committee, abbreviated as the PEC, may appoint one delegate for every 500 members in that province. So it's part of the very important component of this discussion. And the last part, when it comes to the question of the verification, the Constitution is very, very clear. What needs to be verified is the membership, not names. Thank you very much, President.
Thank you. Let me give yes. I've seen Northern Cape, but I think KZN is in order. Can we get Northwest, Northern Cape, sorry, man. Northern Cape. That my comrades, I don't know, when we finish speaking, don't switch it off, because it's the only one that is delaying. Proceed, Northern Cape. Okay, I will repeat for you so that the Congress can hear. Is that Northern Cape have seconded KZN, comrade? The mic was not on. Comrade, I see your boards. I'm requesting you to hold on. We'll come back to you. I want to give Secretariat to speak to these matters that have been raised by Congress. I'll come to those boards, comrades. As long as they are not point of orders, they are a debate. We can't debate forever on this matter. We'll have to come back after this clarification. Yes.
I want to clarify, as I will be making a proposal, 3 points as stipulated by the Constitution in relation to credentials at the Congress. And I'll be using the Constitution in doing so. 1, credentials that I presented firstly meant that on the basis of the decision of the Central Executive Committee, that which membership statistics that will be used to determine a number per province to be at the Congress. I had clarified it. It's 2020 December. And this thing is not new. We've been engaging with this at the NEC in all meetings coming to this Congress. Now, what we were doing was establishing what each province is entitled to as it comes to this Congress. And there can be a context on what each province qualifies for. And I think that Congress will agree on that. That's the first thing. The second thing, because I have never read the names, I read the numbers according to what the Constitution would have directed us to do. And unfortunately, comrade, there has never been a formal communication that draws our attention on the delegation of Gauteng. But we are aware, and where necessary, we have made and consulted with the Gauteng leadership on those areas. Now, comrades, they ask us to do something that have not been brought formally to us. So what I want to persuade the Congress to do is 2 things. That 1, let's agree that numbers presented are in accordance with the Constitution. And therefore, the Congress corrects. That's 1 thing. 2, Comrade Free State says we should have had a report, not only for Gauteng, because names have been changed also in other provinces. There should have been a report in relation now to individuals to be at the Congress, which is something now different from credentials. So, if we agree as a Congress, we are more than willing as NOBs to establish that, but not only closing it one province, because there was a letter also sent to provinces indicating that, because comrade, it's true that Zola Sapeta might have been appointed. But for whatever reason and any developments, we are human beings. That details that Zola might not be at the Congress, then Mike Shingange can be agreed by the province to replace Zola. And it has been accepted, it has been a tradition of the, And if such, let's then compile a report and come back in the Congress and report what happened. And the Congress, therefore, can make a determination on the individuals. But in terms of the credentials, comrade, we don't see a reason why the Congress cannot adopt, because numbers are factual. Numbers are factual. So that's the intervention, President, that we want to make.
Thank you, Nobala. Yes, I see KZN. Is that Western Cape? Okay, that is what, Mpumalanga. Then Gauteng is there, okay. Northwest, yes. Free State. Okay, start KZN. Oh, Eastern Cape, sorry. Please, the camera, can you zoom to the back, please, so that I see the province that side? Thanks. You don't have to show me, I'm visible.
President, once again, as KwaZulu-Natal, we are rising again to reaffirm these credentials. The clarification of the General Secretary is what we have always understood about what is the composition and what is entailed in the credentials. KZN once again move for the adoption of the credentials. Thank you very much.
Thank you, KZN. Western Cape.
Thanks, President. President, as Western Cape, we appreciate the clarity so paliso from the side of the General Secretary. But with due respect, want to disagree with him. We disagree because when the General Secretary was presenting, he would say KZN 81 expected present 81. Present ulapha. It's not about what is expected as per the credentials adopted by CEC. It is precisely because of that the reason that we're calling for verification. Because in Gauteng we're told 160 expected, 160 is present. So that's two different things. If there was a presentation that says in KZN we expected 81, Eastern Cape we expected 81, I'm not sure whether those are still credentials, because credentials are informed by attendance and apologies. So we think these are semantics, no bala, but we want to agree with you. If you are moving on a premise that the Congress must adopt credentials which were agreed by the December Central Executive Committee, it then becomes something else. Would adopt them, but with an understanding that there must be a verification. So here's the issue. We're going to present a secretariat report. At which stage do we do verification? Because we are going to have illegitimate people participating on a closed session. So we disagree. Let's agree those have been presented. If verification must be done to all provinces, it must be done. All of us, Western Cape were clear, all of us must be verified to ensure that the people who are attending here, they are legitimate. You see, people can deny that there are no delegates outside. Western Cape had to ensure last night that female delegates from Tshwane and Gauteng and other areas were accommodated at night because they were here as delegates. They were left stranded outside. What kind of a trade union are we? We had to ensure that those females are safe last night. And comrades are saying, aye, they don't know who we're talking about, Utu. We're not going to go to leadership of Gauteng and ask them about things. We're calling for verification. We know that KZN is still stuck to say it wants to move. We are not sure whether they are moving CEC figures or the credentials of this Congress. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, can I persuade?
President, we want to rise as KZN that Western Cape must, yes. President, I think that is not within the decorum of this Congress. While we have...
Wait, comrades, wait, comrades. Mpumalanga, can we wait? In fact, it was not Mpumalanga that was following in terms of the list, it was Northwest. So can we wait, comrades? If you have raised your board, you will all speak. Indulge us, but please be brief, Nopala, because...
Yes, President.
Yeah.
I don't think that it fits the decorum of this Congress to say KZN is stacked while KZN is having a view as a province. I think KZN as a province must be respected by Western Cape.
Okay. Western Cape, can you withdraw that part of stack so that we proceed with this Congress?
Comrade President, we want to withdraw the English that we used.
Okay.
But we affirmed by KZN ibe ithethile la ibe ithethile. Enkosi.
Okay. Thank you very much. And then, comrades, as I go to the next list, this is the very first important item of the Congress. Much as we differ with views, can we do it in a manner that doesn't polarize the Congress, comrades? That's what we want to appeal to all of us. Northwest was following.
Okay. No, thank you very much, President. President, we must take note, all of us, and I think all of us have taken note, but I want us to really internalize that we are in a national Congress, and it is very important that we take note of whatever is happening around Congress. Anything that seeks or has the potential to delegitimize this national Congress, we cannot turn a blind eye to as this national Congress, as the highest decision-making body of this union. Therefore, there are members of this union outside there claiming to be delegates, legitimate ones, meaning that we have other ones inside here who are also claiming to be legitimate delegates. So both of them are claiming to be legitimate delegates to this Congress. Therefore, as a responsible union, we cannot risk this Congress degenerating as a result of us not being able to be decisive and deal with matters around this Congress. We are not going to allow members of this union to sit outside there and protest whilst the highest decision-making body is in session and is unable to deal with those members and address them. Therefore, the proposal by Western Cape to say we need a review of delegates of Gauteng. If it means all of us must be reviewed, so be it, only to protect the legitimacy of this Congress. We cannot continue whilst we are still having this cloud hanging over us. We want to protect the legitimacy of this Congress. Therefore, Congress must take the decision that is correct and ensure that that review happens, comrade. Thank you very much, President.
Thank you very much, Mpumalanga.
No. Yakenza, President. The constitutional matter has been raised in this Congress. And there is no union beyond this National Congress. And this National Congress cannot degenerate itself into a constitutional delinquent. Even if a matter of the Constitution is raised by one delegate, such matter will have to be responded to in pursuant with the Constitution of the National Union. In terms of Section 5, which I want to read in verbatim, it says, President, this Constitution is the source of all rights and responsibilities within the Union and is the final authority concerning any disputes within the Union. Now, the response that you are giving us as the national office bearers, it seems to be problematic because it does not demystify the constitutional matters that have been raised. And we want, as Mpumalanga, to take you through the sections of the Constitution that are very much clear when it comes to the delegation of this National Congress. Comrade President, in terms of Section 58, as quoted earlier on, this Congress has got a right to review delegates in terms of Section 58, 1C. But I want to take you through, Comrade President, in terms of Section 59, subsection 4. And again, I want to read it in verbatim so that we understand its context. There will be a time to review this Constitution as the business of the Congress proceeds. But for now, we have got this document that guides us. And I want to take you through. In each province, the provincial secretary must advise the general secretary of the number of members in the province, the number of delegates appointed from that province, and the names, I want you to underscore that, and the names of those delegates and their alternates. I want you also to underscore the alternates. And in terms of subsection A, in that section 59, 4A, it says at least 30 days before an ordinary meeting of the National Congress. The response of the General Secretary said they did not receive anything formally from Gauteng. In other words, if there is one person outside of this Congress who claimed to be a delegate, because such proposition would have communicated by the echelon of the province, which in this case would have to be POBs to say, so and so it's supposed to be now going to represent the province in the National Congress. And if indeed the NOBs, it doesn't matter where it comes from, whether it comes from the province that has got 3 delegates, but the NOBs must rise to the occasion and uphold the Constitution of the National Union, because we don't have any other document. We must suppress our emotions. We understand we are emotional beings, but the Constitution, it's not emotional. It's clear. It's unambiguous. We are therefore, Comrade President, calling for the reviewal of the delegates of Gauteng, because that is a constitutional dictate. We thank you very much.
Gauteng. Gauteng.
Comrade President.
Proceed.
Siyabulela again, Comrade President. We are forced to do izinto esingakwazi uzenza, President. So ukuthi xa says meeting in his party constitutions. Unfortunately, we have to do that because we're forced to do it. Comrade President, there's an attempt in this Congress to amend the Constitution of NEHAWU. An attempt to amend the Constitution of NEHAWU on this floor. This Constitution, Comrade President, on section 59, subsection 2, says each PEC may appoint one delegate for every 500 members in that province. The Gauteng delegation was appointed by the Gauteng PEC. It has never been appointed by anybody else. I'm not sure where do comrades get that there are two lists of delegates, because the only list that was developed in Gauteng was approved by the Gauteng PEC. Therefore, Comrade President, we wish to violently differ with the provinces that are saying, we wish to violently differ with the provinces that are saying the Gauteng delegation must be reviewed. And in fact, we want to state, Comrade President, that the presentation by the General Secretary was on point, and therefore we move for the adoption of these credentials as presented, Comrade President.
Thank you. Okay. What is that province, comrades?
It's an order, President, from Western Cape.
No.
It's an order, President. It's
I
a
know you want to
precedent.
object to violence.
No. It's an order, President. Allow Western Cape to raise its order, President.
Okay, let's hear.
Don't preempt. President, we thought first you were going to give guidance. The subject matter is Gauteng. And therefore Gauteng can't be discussing itself because we are raising a question about their own legitimacy. Why are they discussing themselves on legitimacy? So it is out of order to say as someone, a person whom we are not clear about his legitimacy to be in a Congress, must address a Congress on his legitimacy. We demand a report, President. We are calling on order on that. Thank you.
Okay, comrades, I see you Northern Cape. I thought you wanted to be noted, and I've noted you. You're on the list. So unless it's an odd. Can I deal with this order, comrades? From where we sit at this point, it is not concluded that the decision of this Congress is to discuss or verify only the credentials of Gauteng. Given the speakers that were on the floor, yes, others or some specifically spoke about Gauteng, but there are those who said if needs be, all of us must be verified. So at this point, there's no decision that we are only discussing Gauteng. Therefore, for as long and if the credentials are still a point of discussion for the Congress itself, Gauteng should and have a right to discuss credentials. It is only when the decision has been arrived at that we are only discussing Gauteng, that Gauteng can be excluded from engaging on the credentials. Without wanting to deal with that kind of order, comrade. As we move to Eastern Cape, if I'm not mistaken in terms of the list.
Thank you, Mongameli. We wish to advise the National Congress that its integrity must be protected. The constitution of this union is very clear, President, that whoever that is supposed to be here must be appointed by the PEC. And from where we're seated as Eastern Cape, in Gauteng, there's a PEC. And from where we're seated, we understand that the Provincial Secretary of Gauteng is still alive and kicking. He is here, and he has signed off the delegation as mandated by the PEC. Secondly, we want to submit in this Congress, President, that whatever problems that might have arise on the issue of delegation, the Constitution is very clear that particular problem must be raised within 30 days. within 30 days, at least 30 days before an ordinary meeting of the National Congress, whatever that is a problem must be raised. The General Secretary of the Union has just submitted in front of us in this meeting that in front of his desk, there's no submission that was presented. And as such, in this meeting, we can no longer accept any situation where we're going to entertain people that we don't know why they are here. Lastly, President, we are clear as Eastern Cape that because Gauteng province is the host of this National Congress, we must not be abused, comrades. Where comrades that they feel like wanting to be part of the Congress, they are passing in here. From where we're seated as Eastern Cape, the delegation as submitted by the Provincial Secretary of Gauteng remains legitimate. If it is not legitimate, there must be proof, comrades. Thank you, leadership.
Thank you very much. The last speaker on the list was Free State. Oh, no, not the last. That followed by Northern Cape. Yes. In fact, you'll accept, Chairperson, that the Free State was before you. Yes. Yes.
Thank you very much, President. President, as the province, we don't want to appear as if we're very inquisitive in affairs of Gauteng. But it should be clarified in this meeting that it concerns us precisely because we're in a national congress here. But we further want to acknowledge the presentation made by the GS or the clarity made by the GS. However, we should accentuate the fact that it was minimal, precisely because the question or the report that we're referring to as the province was that there is a concern that there are comrades who are here claiming to be the delegates of the very same province. Therefore, we needed to understand as the province as to whether those who claim to have accreditation to be part of this province, in fact, to be part of this Congress, are they legitimate or not? Comrades, we need not to turn a blind eye on the fact that the very same comrades here in this Congress, they've got potential to take these processes to courts and all that. We're raising this issue precisely because we want to avoid such situations wherein somebody will be questioned or his attendance in this Congress, it is questioned at the level of court. It is precisely because of that fact, Chair or President, we are raising this issue such that it can get a clarity so that this Congress can proceed. We're not inquisitive on the affairs of the Gauteng, but the Congress delegation concerns us all here in this Congress. That is why we needed clarity. We don't need superfluous issues that will be taken to courts. We need to clarify such things here, such that we are able to endorse or adopt those credentials. We are fine in the presentation made by the GS to say that the Congress corrects. Yes, in terms of numbers per province, we agree on that. We don't have a problem. But the question is the legitimacy of everyone who is in this Congress. We don't want a situation where there is Khawelo here and Khawelo was not supposed to be here. There is another Khawelo outside there with a name tag still. That matter is the one that we need to be clarified in this Congress. Amandla.
Northern Cape, my apologies for keeping you on and off.
No, thanks, President. We understand we might be small, but if you're treating us as very small, we can be very big. We can become very big. So I understand, Comrade President, it's a difficult task to preside over things that, for us as Northern Cape, that is becoming foreign to the Union. And we have listened attentively to the General Secretary in the clarification. And by the way, comrades, we rise to again second KZN and Gauteng in the adoption of the credentials. And we have now seen any counter mover. But let me also, Comrade President, just to give bite. And by the way, President, I don't know whether you have noticed, I haven't came here with a constitution. You know, I'm a Bush lawyer. And so we didn't come here with a constitution, because we must not make the mistake sometimes. Because if you comrades have listened to the General Secretary, there's two methods of credentials and the other part of individuals. So I think we must agree, comrades, President, as Northern Cape, we want to persuade this Congress as moving forward, because we want to be progressive. Let's adopt the credentials, comrades, and then the Secretariat, we deal with the report of verifying all provinces. But our plea, comrades, as Northern Cape, as we second for the third time, let's move for the adoption of the credentials. Thank you very much.
Okay, comrades, thank you very much. Again, the list for the second round was exhausted. I see other hands again, but we want to, for now, say who, because indeed we want to move to the next point. There's a manner in how we always resolve stalemates in a meeting. Particularly that now on the table there are 3 motions. But we don't want to go there. We want to try and see if we can provide leadership as national office bearers in this Congress. And I want to call the General Secretary to make a presentation or a point on how we must move forward at this stage. We note your hands. We ask you to suppress them for now, not because we don't want you to speak, but there's an amount of time that is allocated for how long you can engage on one subject. Comrades.
Marumo Fate, Congress, please. Comrades, firstly, let's establish whether or not we make the quorum as a Congress. Once we do that, the Congress, once is on, can take a decision. Having listened to all comrades participating, I'm making a reference to the Constitution. And correctly so, we are reading the Constitution. And correctly, one of the powers of the Congress is to review credentials of delegates. But a Congress cannot take that decision before even it opens itself, so that it becomes a decision of the Congress. So the numbers, first they were establishing that are we more than half of delegates to be at the Congress? If yes, then let's adopt. Immediately, a Congress has the right to take a decision to review as proposed. And we agree that we have review. As we review, we will request provincial secretaries to meet with the Secretariat to undertake that process and come back and report at the Congress. That would have taken a decision once it opens. So the intervention that we are making, let's adopt credentials in as far as the quorum is concerned. 2, the Congress takes a decision for the review. And we are proposing provincial secretaries with the Secretariat to go and work on the review, come back at this Congress, present a report that this Congress must reflect on. That's the intervention that we're making.
Northern Cape, followed by Northwest, followed by, is it Western Cape, Limpopo, KZN, Gauteng. I'm sure Eastern Cape's board is up. This light is obstructing me, so you'll pardon me. But yeah, I see it now. Thank you very much. KZN, I saw you, but the first one is Northern Cape. Thank you. What is that? Pumalang? Okay, thank you.
Voorsitter, baie dankie vir die geleentheid.
Baie dankie mevrou.
Ja, ons ek is onder die indruk dat ons hier sien mevrou hierdie is net kamerade.
Kamerade mevrou.
Ja, president.
Wat jy gesê meneer man.
No, thanks, President. President, we'd like to agree with what the GS has proposed now. So we propose that we first adopt the credentials. We say, we move, yes, we move so that the credentials should be adopted, and then we'll deal with these other issues, and Secretariat should go and sort out all of these other issues. Thank you, President.
Thank you, Northern Cape, Northwest.
No, thanks, President. President, we hear the advice of the General Secretary, but we want to caution in this Congress that not only numbers are delegates, home bodies make part of delegation. How should we adopt credentials of numbers and verify later? We are saying, President, that proposal must continue of reviewing. Then we'll come back and adopt the credentials. Thanks, President.
Kalogo, maybe I'll see all the hands, comrades. But what we're saying is that it has to be a Congress decision that is taken within a meeting that has already started. If the reviewer will suggest that the Congress can't proceed because of the outcome of the reviewer, the Congress will own that report because it will have taken that decision within the Congress that has already started. We thought maybe let's further to assist what the GS was trying to say here, but let me follow the other province. There was a province, I think, was that Limpopo?
Western Cape.
Western Cape, okay.
Yeah, I was born in Mone.
And born.
Yeah. President, as the Western Cape, we hear what the GS has presented, and partly we are tempted to agree, particularly as it relates to whether there's 50%. Okay. But the challenge is, who is adopting the credentials? You can't present and say 81 out of membership. Who is here that is adopting credentials? It's not membership figures that adopt credentials. So it's a constitutional crisis. It's when bodies. So in light of that, we think the Congress is not going to fight with NOBs if we agree that the secretaries must meet with the National Secretariat and finalize that process and come back and give a report, and the Congress will deal with issues of credentials. Because we might run into a legal crisis if we adopt but we're not legitimate delegates. Thank you.
Limpopo.
Hey, Comrade President, this is now confusing.
Exactly.
Because our understanding was that we are not disputing the figures here. And whilst we are not disputing the figures, we want to persuade Western Cape and to say, can we move with the proposal of the Secretariat to go SSMT to do verification, with the understanding that this is a Congress decision. And if there is anything that is found not to be in line with the credentials, then the Congress will be reported, and then the new decision will be taken. That is our understanding, Comrade President, that we can't afford to lose a day dealing with credentials when there is a decision that says, and blessed by the very same Congress to say, go and do it separately and come back and report. Wherever we are, whatever we shall have, the level we shall have gone far, we'll report, and then there will be a reversal if there is a need to be a reversal. But allow the Congress to continue. That is our persuasion to Western Cape. We understand that, that yes, indeed, it's home bodies that must take into account the question of adopting. But here, there is only one province that is, in question. But the 8 provinces are there, can move and second. Then we move, and then after we shall have dealt with that part, and then come back and report. We want to persuade comrades to say, can we move with the summary that the Secretariat have provided? Thanks.
Thank you, Limpopo. Gauteng. Gauteng.
Thank you, Comrade President. President, we are also tempted to agree with the proposal. However, we think there's a confusion indeed in Limpopo, because Limpopo is mentioning 2 processes, verification and review. We agree to a review, Comrade President. We do not agree to the verification. And as far as we're concerned, we believe that the Congress can undertake the processes proposed by the leadership of the Union. As Gauteng, we will support the proposal. Thank you very much, Comrade Chair.
Thank you, Gauteng. Eastern Cape.
Thank you, Mongameli.
Thank you.
Ourselves as Eastern Cape, we're in agreement with your guidance that says the National Congress has not yet started. Until we adopt credentials, then we are going to be in a National Congress. Therefore, the guidance that has been given by the NOBs is covering us as Eastern Cape, and we second it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mpumalanga.
No, we think we should help each other, Comrade President, on this matter at hand. The issue of credentials, Comrade President, is the matter in which, because when we talk about the verification, it leads to a reviewal. You verify and you diagnose and then you review in terms of correcting. So from where we are seated, Comrade President, in terms of your Section 60 of the Constitution, that deals with the meetings of the National Congress. Section 60, subsection 8, it reads as follows. For the purposes of this section, the calculation of the number of delegates representing a province may include only persons who are members in good standing, that's subsection A. B, whose names have been provided to the General Secretary in terms of section 59, subsection 4. So in other words, Comrade President, we have a situation. We have reached a wall in which we find it difficult to agree with this Congress to go beyond until the issue of the credentials is addressed. Because, Comrade President, if now we adopt the credentials, then we are legitimizing delegates who happen to be here by default. And we want to apportion that to the argument that has been advanced earlier on that talks to the decision of the PEC. All what we are arguing in that context, that the PEC is mandated by the Constitution to submit delegates to the General Secretary before 30 days. In actual fact, the notice is issued 60 days before the Congress. And then the provision of the Constitution says delegates have to be submitted to the General Secretary 30 days before the Congress. So we are here, Comrade President. It's a simple matter. There is no science about this issue. It is the table of the Secretariat to check the submissions that were made 30 days prior to this Congress against all what it's argued here. Because if one delegate walks in here to say, my name is Fortune Love, my ID number is so and so, I have been called to be a delegate, but now I'm outside the Congress. Then you verify in terms of the list that it's submitted in pursuant of the Constitution of the National Union. That's all we are asking for. We think, Comrade President, we can maybe allow some speakers to speak, because that is not a new matter. In all our constitutional meetings, the chairperson will address, and then we deal with the issue of the credentials, it gets adopted. But what we are saying, the secretariat, together with the provincial secretariat, must find a corner, verify, come and report, and the Congress review, and then we adopt. Thank you very much.
KZN.
President, as KZN, Comrade Mthunzi, ngifuna bengibone kahle. President, as KZN, we are a bit persuaded by the presentation from the national office bearers. But there are points that we want to raise in this Congress that might also plunge this Congress into deep crisis. When the General Secretary was making a presentation in this Congress, the provincial secretaries might also know that there have been many correspondences that were sent even to provinces that says, provinces who have been getting changes from yourselves, it now stops. So KZN is extremely worried that we might not even have to look at Gauteng, because almost all provinces have done changes in terms of the delegation. And those delegation was not submitted within 30 days. And I want to make a reminder once again, because we must not speak as if we're outside from this national union, that the Secretariat in the notice that they said for convening the Congress, in principle, can the provinces send names of delegates? If we can stand up here as provincial secretaries and provinces and ask, when we send those delegations, were they ratified by the provincial executive committee? Because there was no PEC that was convened. Before all ourselves, we submitted. That is why the PECs that took place had a constitutional obligation to confirm those delegates. But the point that we want to make as KwaZulu-Natal, that we must not also, when we quote Constitution and debate this issue, debate them in a manner that is dogmatic. We must also debate them as comrades that are part of the processes that are currently taking place. That's the point that we want to stress as KZN, noting and also now being persuaded by what the General Secretary have said. The last part, President, there are terminologies that do not find themselves in this Constitution. That is why when we discuss with the Secretariat outside, we will definitely raise those particular points, whether it's a verification or is a review, because terminologies are also of critical importance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope I've not left anyone who has raised his hand. Comrades, the proposal of the NOBs in terms of the number of provinces that have been spoken is supported. Of course, there are objections. But to those objections, we want to say there's another danger that we are running ourselves into of that decision of reviewing or verification to be rendered null and void because of the manner in which it was taken. We want to say again, comrade, that I'm sure everyone seated here is confident that even in terms of both personnel or warm bodies and the numbers, the Congress makes the quorum of the numbers supposed to be here. And it knows that's the Congress, that there is a reason for some verification or review of the delegation that is here. And the Secretariat will decide that matter, whether it's for everybody, which I suppose is the case, and then come back and give a report. If we don't do that of confirming the numbers, at least in their majority, by the time you come back with your report, it will not matter what you do with that report. Because the Congress will have not corrected, and then we'll have a problem in our hand. It is in that context, comrades, we want to once again persuade, not because we think any point of anybody who has spoken here may not be correct, because at this stage there's no one who is right, who's wrong. In fact, this is a very vibrant debate. How I wish it was a debate vibrant at the point of organizational debate. But of course, credential is part of the organizational. So we want to persuade the Congress to accept that and proceed, comrades, with a few other items while Secretariat go and meet with the National Secretariat. What is that? Is it Mpumalanga? Is it Mpumalanga? What province is that? Okay. Is that Eastern Cape? Western Cape, okay.
Comrade President, can you assist this Congress? Can you assist this Congress, President? We are asking this particularly to yourself, Comrade President, not to commit a suicide in this Congress. We can't subject a constitutional matter to a vote. This is a constitutional matter that is being raised here. It doesn't matter how many provinces are raising. And if that's how the NOBs have been functioning, comrades, unfortunately, as Mpumalanga, we don't want to accept that. And we don't subscribe to that. Any constitutional matter, comrades, it must comply with the Supreme Book. The Supreme Book that all of us are to subscribe to. It doesn't matter. It is not about interpreting what is happening in court. We are interpreting what is happening in our own union, in our 12th National Congress. We don't need any lawyers. It is ourselves that must speak about our own Congress. It's us that had adopted this constitution, Comrade President. So we want to disagree with the persuasion from yourself, Comrade President. So we can't allow, Comrade President, if you are to subject this matter to a vote. It can't be voted in. It's a constitutional matter, Comrade President. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank Mpumalanga. We respect your right to differ with us, but perhaps it's important for you to differ with us having understood what we are saying. We are not proposing that this matter must be subjected to a vote. In fact, the proposal seeks to avoid exactly that. Okay, thank you. We were saying when we started to ask the General Secretary to present this middle ground, we wanted to avoid the fact that there are different motions on the floor and therefore how to resolve different motions is through a vote. That's precisely what we propose this thing of Secretariat meeting so that we can avoid going to a vote, comrades. So even as we differ with us, don't say we are suggesting that we're subjecting the matter to a vote. We're only saying our proposal is supported. Yes, there are objections, but we're persuading that let's not subject to a vote. We want to proceed with the Congress. Eastern Cape? Western Cape, I mean?
Yeah, thank you. Mohammed, we hear you. And you see, and we note that you might be finding yourselves as NOPs on the ropes. and we are trying to rescue the situation. That proposal would have been fine if verification was going to be only focusing on Gauteng. Because we were going to argue, therefore, that we have 50%. Now, when Western Cape we said Gauteng must be verified, it was then extended, and we accepted that. So who makes this 50% of people who must still be verified? That's where the crisis is. So we're not even sure that when we do verification, are you going to even reach 20% of legitimate delegates? Yet those people who would have adopted credentials and adopted a view that there must be a review. So if the table is going to say the verification is going to focus on Gauteng, we'll support you, because there will be 50. But if you're going to say all of us must be subjected to verification, none of us have got a local standing, therefore, to adopt the credentials. So, siyacela ke Mongameli, in that table, nike nidibanise inhloko kancane nje. Nisirescuishe in this situation, because the reality of the matter is that this is a constitutional crisis. And it can't be resolved by us thinking that we're making 50%, because that's the implication. We are saying we must think that we make 50%. We preempt the report and the verification. Enkosi Mongameli, kwenze.
Sasidibanisile nje izinhloko. Yeah, comrade, I will come back to you. We are asked to dibanisa izinhloko, siyasidibanisa from now and now. But xa sinixelela ukuba sidibanisile sithini nithi anivumi. So, yeah.
No, thanks, President. I think we will proceed until we are required to interpret the Constitution. Because the Constitution can only be interpreted by the National Congress. But that's not the point I want to make. Comrades have been quoting the Constitution. Correctly so, section 58, 59, and so on. Now, I just want to deal with one part, because I don't think the President is trying to explain, the GS has explained, I don't think we're understanding each other. Or there's a fear, perhaps, that is driving us to allow the proposal, to proceed. Now, Section 58 deals with the powers of the National Congress. And it says the National Congress may do the following things: amend the Constitution, review the credentials of delegates, and so on and so forth. So the C, the review of the credentials of delegates, is what we're agreeing that let's go and do that. But the first thing, that who's making that decision? Because Congress, those are powers of Congress. And Congress must have cooperated and open to make that decision. So Congress is exercising its powers in terms of Section 58. So if we don't do that, who are we? Who's making the decision? So let's understand that, Congress. So because it is Congress making the decision and say, go do this, bring the report, it is Congress that is going to decide what happens with that report. It's a simple matter, comrades. So really we want to persuade comrades, request comrades, let's not, we agree in Mpumalanga, we don't have to look at how many provinces are saying this and that. It's a constitutional matter, and the Constitution empowers this Congress to make the decision, and the Congress makes the decision. Let's allow that process to unfold. Congress will then decide There's nothing that stops Congress after the report has been presented to make a decision. What then happens with whatever issues that have been found in the process of review? President, I thought because Congress are quoting the Constitution, maybe let's also quote the Constitution. Let's just, clarify exactly that it is only Congress that can exercise those powers.
Thank you. Limpopo, KZN, Northwest, Western Cape. Ngiyazama, comrades. Ngiyazama, comrades. That's why I've been asking that the screens must help me. It's dark beyond there because of this light, comrades. It's not intentional. Thank you.
Comrade President, with the clarity given by the DGS, we want to reaffirm and persuade comrades that let's do what is expected of us. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. KZN?
No, thanks, Comrade President. I think we want to align as KwaZulu-Natal with the Limpopo. In fact, the Deputy General Secretary, I think, was clear. But the danger of the Congress, the other provinces are engaging on matters that are outside for other provinces. And
okay, comrades.
I'm used
Let him finish.
to that.
Let me finish, comrades. It's a debate. He has his views. You have a right to disagree with him, but don't howl him. Please.
Comrade President, we are here as delegates. And these delegates are confirmed by the PECs, and they are here. We have not yet received any concern.
We say move on this proposal. I'm just checking if that debate is not reopening what you thought you were persuaded. Because if you do that, you'll be forced to be clarified by other provinces. I thought you are reaffirming what you are proposing. You are seconding Limpopo so that we proceed.
Comrade President,
okay.
I think I accept the guidance from the President.
Yeah.
And indeed, I will be persuaded.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. What provinces I meet is Western Cape? Yes. And then Kuzolandela Road, this province here, comrade, that is fighting me that I don't see them.
Okay, President. As Western Cape, we don't want to create an impression that we don't want the Congress to continue. Because what we are raising is principle. We are not fighting with anyone. And we think let's then agree with Limpopo that that process must then unfold immediately, but a report be presented before the tabling of the Secretariat report. Thank you.
Thank you, Western Cape. Is that counting here, Ms. Comrades?
Masbonye, Comrade President. And maybe in the next round we should start from the back because we understand the challenge in terms of vision. Comrade President, we said it before that we want to align ourselves with a process that is progressive in ensuring that this Congress continues. There's nothing sinister in Gauteng. The PEC is also here. We cannot be here sitting and leading an illegitimate delegation. It's also to be noted that Gauteng is a point of interest. We accept that, we welcome that, it's fine and good. And we should also acknowledge the proximity of this venue. And we've been crying out loud as Gauteng over the years to say, maybe at some point in time, Congress must be held in Limpopo, KZN, so that maybe we can see what will happen, because it's easy for me to drive to Beirut and declare or proclaim to become a delegate. And there are people that are good here. They've got people in higher places. They've got people in higher places of other provinces. It's fine and good. They can come here and have fun during the night, and then they can have a position of discrediting in the morning. We're fine, we welcome that. But we stand our ground, and we are assuring you that we move along with the suggestion that Secretariat and whoever they go and discuss while this Congress is continuing. There's nothing to hide. We are vigilant, and we are ready for this Congress to proceed.
Thank you, Gauteng. I can only take a hand, comrades, if there's a different view. Because I thought now we are moving towards concluding this matter. Mpumalanga? Siyakubona guest, but sizama ukusort out. Okay, Mpumalanga.
Comrade President, we are engaging on a constitutional matter. And we are in a Congress. The notion that want to suggest that we are about Gauteng, it's a national Congress. Every delegate is a delegate of this national Congress. It's not about Gauteng. This union is not about Gauteng. So Congress must not reduce this matter to be an issue or a matter of Gauteng, Comrade President. It is dangerous from the latter speaker, Comrade President, to want to bring a very wrong narrative to this Congress, that there are comrades or provinces that are all out in wanting to deal with Gauteng.
But Chair, were we not making progress?
To engage on a particular matter, on a particular branch, on a particular region, on a particular province, whilst we are in the National Congress. There's nothing else beyond us here. The National Union is here.
Thank you, Mpumalanga.
It doesn't matter whether it's one region or one province.
Thank you,
we are
Mpumalanga.
discussing on the national issues, Comrade President.
Thank you, Mpumalanga.
So having said that, Comrade President, we want to agree with Gauteng. Thank you very much, Comrade President.
Okay. No, Mpumalanga, thanks. We will have corrected what Gauteng was saying had you not raised your board and we thought that you wanted to say something else. We thought you were not on this matter. Comrades, so the proposal that came from the NOPs, augmented by the plenary, and further proposed by Western Cape in terms of the process, says that process must take place and be reported before the Secretariat report is presented. Which means, therefore, we're going to proceed with these other items and find space between the process before lunch and give space to Secretariat. By Secretariat, I mean both national and provincials, to deal with the matter. That when we come back at the point where, before we proceed to the Secretariat report, we receive that report. In other words, comrades, what I'm saying is that for now we're going to proceed and ask the General Secretary to present the program for the Congress to be adopted by the Congress. Yes.
Amandla, icela uthetha. Kwamanthetha. Ndiyabulela Mpumalanga. Thanks, President. President, the program is on book 1 or any book at the back. I'm not going to read it. I will just zoom in on the areas where there will be changes. On day one, before lunch, the change there would be on the address of the ANC president, who actually had confirmed his attendance to this Congress. And only yesterday, on the 2nd of November, in the morning, where we were told that we won't make it. And therefore, we referred to the office of the Deputy Secretary General of the ANC, who later last night, if not more this morning, confirmed that the national chairperson of the ANC, Comrade Kwete Mandashe, would be addressing. And we received the email. That email says the chairperson will only be available tomorrow. We then reacted to that because tomorrow is a hectic day, comrades of the Congress. We have two important sessions. One being a Congress, and in the evening, probably by 6:30, is the South African Communist Party 100th anniversary celebrations. And we are refusing to compromise the plans about it. And therefore, we had communicated that it would be impossible for the chairperson of ANC to be addressing us tomorrow, because both events will be attended by the same constituents, in this case by delegates of the Congress who don't want to stray new comrades, who want to exhaust this energy throughout up until the end of the Congress. So we don't want to exhaust you more what would have been anticipated as we were developing the program. We're more open to say at any time as he arrives today, we'll be able to accommodate the address by the national chairperson. And consciously, we have set aside this day to be addressed by two components of the alliance, in this case, the ANC and the South African Communist Party. Tomorrow is a dedicated day where we'll be receiving addresses from our federations. We want really to be focusing on the workplace issues and how they relate to the societal issues from that context. And therefore, we wouldn't want any presentation coming in between, because immediately after that, we break for commissions. So structurally, we have put this input to ground us for these discussions as from tomorrow, because this is a Congress not narrowly of electing leadership, but it's a Congress of formulating resolutions that will become a clarity of purpose and also the way forward for the national union. And we have done this even when the Communist Party cited a problem on the availability of the General Secretary. We insisted that it can't be on Thursday. We want it to be today. And it would be unfair of us to refuse the party but accept that to the ANC. But it's not the reason. The reason really is about how we proceed. So we're expecting that office to be interacting to come back to us, but it will not be possible really to be accommodating the ANC tomorrow. It's within that context of the program. And the program is extremely hectic. So anytime, comrade, as and when we get an indication, we'll communicate through the chairperson of the Congress. So that's the first issue. Yes, Comrade, the General Secretary of the party had confirmed in the afternoon that will be addressing, but unfortunately, he will not be physically at this Congress. We have made means to make sure that wherever he will be, if it's possible, he can address us virtual. But also we've made another arrangement just in case of difficulties, because we are not in control of technology. And that arrangement is that the first Deputy General Secretary is here. As and when that thing happens, he will resume his responsibility on behalf of the party. But we will time to time talk to the Secretariat of the party. But the party certainly is going to be addressing us today. Those are the two things for today. For tomorrow, the program will proceed as reflected. And tomorrow we are expected to adjourn at most. Now that President, 2 hours of your today's time has been taken, we are hoping that by 6:30, we'll be starting the South African Communist Party celebrations, so that we give enough time to delegates after that event to go and rest, to prepare for discussions on the third day of the Congress. But the table will manage time as we proceed. But we'll have that evening session, which will be joined also by other comrades virtual, as this Congress, as we proceed, is alive on our Facebook wall and also other forms of social media. So that's what the program tomorrow. And on the third day, really we'll proceed, comrades, through commissions. As commissions, we'll start on tomorrow until the third, and the day 3 will be continuing, because that's an essence of this Congress, is to have an opportunity to really look into the global outlook, the world outlook today, as an organization that is committed to change that world, begin to discuss how do we then strategically locate ourselves, working together with those forces of change in changing the world to be what we desire to be. So we need enough time to do so. So Comrade Slovo in one corner says, given the challenges of the moment, we need a serious revolution driven by serious revolutionaries. So we are attempting to do so. So that's what really we'll be doing on these 2 days. Then later on day 3 is an opportunity for my NOBs. I often tease Comrade Slovo of launching what we used to call the unfinished business. We are launching in real terms now, in the belly of the beast, as a history of NEHAWU. And that's an exciting moment for all of us. And that will be combined by the award ceremony, where we'll be giving structures and leaders of the Union for Excellency, leadership, consistency, and also sacrifice that they would have dedicated to make NEHAWU to be where it is today. And thereafter, we adopt the program on the last day. We adopt resolutions and also announce the leadership that would have been elected, as the first process in relation to the elections will be entertained in terms of the processes and so forth as from tomorrow. So that's the program, President. Other than that, the WFTU General Secretary, who will be addressing us, the President of the TUI Public Service and Allied, will be also addressing us. Some guests that are present here will be featuring in this evening sessions in terms of the addresses, because time is limited and the work is too much to be done by this Congress. Thank you, President. So we're presenting this for the adoption to this Congress.
Thank you, Nobala. Before I take boards, can comrades, there are guests that are struggling to come in. Can staff help them to usher them to where they're supposed to sit? I see you, KZN, but let me start with Gauteng. At the back, you'll come and Eastern Cape, I can't see, but I hope your board is up. So you will follow. Mpumalanga will follow. Limpopo will follow. KZN will follow. Northwest will follow. And that's it. Thank you. Gauteng.
Thank you, Comrade President. We stand to move for the adoption of the program as presented by the GS. But it's next President. Sokuba nilandi ibhatyi yethu. Ninike noba ngumali. Ngoba ndiyamazi akanayo. La bhatyi yethu ebomvu, President. Thank you.
Sizayixela kulozo zayo, whoever comes will ask for it. Eastern Cape?
As Eastern Cape, we support and second the adoption of the program. Thank you.
Except the bike thing, ne? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eastern Cape. Mpumalanga?
Thank you, President. As Mpumalanga, we want to second. So we're just in agreement.
Thank you. There's no contrary view, so therefore, I think all the boards are covered. Angit KZN. Oh, okay. Thank you.
No, thanks, Comrade President. In fact, as KwaZulu Natal, we had raised our board first so that we can indirectly influence. We do not have a problem with the amendments in terms of accommodating the ANC for today. But we are reluctantly, because we are at the end with something that had been moved and seconded, with the issue of the SACP General Secretary, because we are a national union, that the struggle must not be individualized. When someone is not in, we allow the deputy, because we had been having constitutional meetings where we had been addressed by the deputy. We can't say certain comrades need this platform for them to shine, because we've been going at sometimes comrades with commitments, then deploy the deputies. So that's the understanding. I wish there can be technological problems that can cause that we don't get virtual address when there is someone that is an office bearer in the very same office. Amandla.
Okay. But Manzin, that's fine. But Manzin, in this Congress as it proceeds, we are joined by a number of guests visually. And others are going to address us visually. But yeah, we hear you. Let's hear the Congress. Limpopo was following. It's covered. All right. So we covered. There's no more speaker. The Deputy General Secretary is going to come forward and present or introduce and acknowledge all our guests here, including those ones who are visual. Manzi. Yeah, so acknowledge our guests. Sure.
No, thanks, President. The list of invited guests is too long, comrades. Even when we try to cut others, and I see majority of the guests are here, and that thing shows the position you occupy in society as an organization, that people want to be part of your Congress. It's an important thing, and we appreciate that. Let me start with the very important comrades who led this organization, the former national office bearers, those were presidents, present here, and deputy presidents, Comrade Mike Basop, Comrade Begi Pagati, we have Comrade Vusin Trapo. I see he went out. Oh, he has shifted. Oh, by the way, you're now a resident of Pumalanga, and that's why I'm sitting next to Malachi. So, Comrade Skegete is here. Comrade President Nolutando Mayende Sibia, ukhona msho angaphakamisa isandla ngimonela akayithandanga lento ye gender issues. Ngizophakamisa bomama kuphela Comrade Skegete ngangikwatela. Comrade Insiki Magwaza, and many comrades don't know this comrade. I'll pagame comrade. Our first deputy president. Comrade Lulamila Sotaka. Yeah, he's here. He's sitting. Comrade John PC is here. Comrade Lady Simlangen, our national treasurer, she's also here. Also present is Comrade Prabir Badal. So those were worker leaders. So the general secretaries and deputy general secretaries that are here, Comrade Philip Dexter, the minority is here. It's just language, is what it means. Comrade Mahane Tobejane, Comrade Figile Slovo Major. He's not a deputy minister here. The former General Secretary of NEHAWU. Comrade David Makura has addressed the Congress. Comrade Khawkhelo Ramodis, the former DGS, and Comrade Suraya Jawadi. Comrade Suraya, just okay. Thanks. So those are the former NOBs. I'm sure others are still coming. Comrades will introduce them as they come. Now, in terms of other organizations, the South African Communist Party, comrades are here, led by the first Deputy General Secretary, Comrade Soli Mabaila. He is together with Comrade Jenny, Comrade Mhlekwa. And from our federation, all the national office bearers of COSATU are here. Angithi Comrade Bheki. Led by the President. So, Comrade Second Deputy President, she's here. Comrade Frida, the National Treasurer. Comrade Begin Jalanjali, Tiger, the Chairman of Orlando Pirates, Fans, and the Deputy General Secretary, Brasox. We're very lucky that the Federation leadership is here. There are affiliates comrades that are here. Afadu, General Secretary, the acting General Secretary of the National Union of Mine Workers, Comrade Williams here, Pausa, Wood, the General Secretary and the National Treasurer, they are here, and the National Treasurer of South African Democratic Teachers Union, she's here. Our reliable ally, Comrade Deslov, is sad. Ayizushintsha loo nto noma kungenzeka ntoni. So they are here, comrades. So there are those who have not registered. But just to say that we also invited the NEHAWU shop stewards, who are COSATU provincial chairpersons, because they are also members of the National Political Commission of NEHAWU, so they help us, they were helping us preparing for this Congress. So they are invited here, Comrade Solomon Malachi from Mpumalanga, Comrade Calvin Chamana from Limpopo, Comrade Mutlazi from the Western Cape, and Comrade Amos Munyela from Gauteng. So they are here. I think it's important to acknowledge them. But let me also acknowledge the presence of the General Secretary and Deputy General Secretary of COPE. I nearly forgot the former COSATU NOB, Comrade Peter Malepe, she's here. I mean, he's here with us. Thank you very much, Comrade. Now, from the YCL, the National Secretary, Comrade Dinyigo, is also present. From SASCO, we have the General Secretary. We have the General Secretary and the Chairperson of the Public Service Coordinating Bargaining Council. So I'm reading that name in full, because that's an institution that is being undermined, Comrade Slow. It's being undermined by our government. The agreements that we signed there, they are being teared into pieces, and this Congress is going to discuss that matter. So it's important that because that is a platform where the employer and the workers come together and engage on matters. But recently we have seen, just last week, and I see today that the DG of DPSA has now returned to the PSCPC to retract what they were denying last week on mandatory vaccination of public servants. We also have a NIH present here, our MHA, All Mutual, iTech, those are service providers we work with, Sanlam, and NEHAWU National Provident Fund. And I must say that this Congress was also made possible by the support we have received from these Congress or these institutions. We also have the PCTA present. I would not read names, comments, because as I said, the list is long. The Krizani Institute, they are also present. I think we'll talk more about them, acknowledge them on the work they've done properly during the launch of the book. Yes. Also present, comrades, are the ambassadors of different countries represented in South Africa, the embassy of the State of Palestine, the embassy of the Republic of Cuba, the embassy of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, and the Sahrawi Republic. We also have the General Secretary of the Communist Party of Swaziland present here. But we also have international friends present, although virtual. I'm told that 20 of them, they've already connected, they are following us, including the General Secretary of WAF to Comrade George Mafrikos, the President of TUI, PSNA, Comrade Atul. We also have Comrade Vincent Kapembe, the General Secretary of SGA, CTP of Congo, the General Secretary of the SU to Teachers Trade Unions, the President of Amalgamated Rural Teachers Union of Zimbabwe, and Botswana Land Board, Local Authorities and Health Workers Union, General Secretary. We acknowledge their presence, although they are not here physically. So, President, those are the guests that have joined us. I'm sure we should be able to update the list and recognize everybody later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nobala. For those and others, and when they come, we'll do so. Comrades, we are looking at the time between the next item and the time for lunch, and the difficulties that sometimes hotel staff have in having to close the kitchen at a particular time. So we're proposing that much as the program says, we'll break for lunch after these other items have been rendered. We're proposing that we go for lunch now for 1 hour, and then when we come back, we start with the President to deliver his opening address, and then move on, and then of course in the process we'll be getting the report as adopted earlier on. I hope there's no objections. Thank you very much. Let's try and come back at 2:30 from lunch. It's served as Kluva screen or time. Thank you.
Presentatie der Nein